So I was working. I have this track here that I'm working on, and I'm hoping to finish it for the show on Saturday. Where it's me and 99 Jakes and Union Jacks in Boston Saturday. If anybody is in the area, Cantab Lounge. Anyway, so I'm gonna work on this track. I'm gonna cover some questions that some people asked me after the last video. So I guess I'm just gonna kind of try to cover the questions as I fill it out. So just so you get a bit of the track is like, there's a section that I'm gonna fill out with some stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's alright. It's fine. Anyway, so this is the part that comes after that I'm gonna fill out with some shit. Some of the questions I had, I'll just try to knock them out one by one. This is just feeling like, here. So the first question I'm going to answer is about, this question comes from Wingfelt.io, and it's about routing drums within, routing the drums and the breaks. So this Lynn Collins break that I ripped from a Titsworth Baltimore Breaks sample vinyl. So here's the break. Nothing fancy. Okay. So here you will see the instrument. That is the break. Break is here. Here are the cue points that make up, you'll see over here in the sample section, we have the main break, and we have all the little ones that are divided by the cue points. So right now, as you can see, in the effects section, which is basically all the audio buses of the instrument, we have the single effects chain. We're going to call this A. This is where everything goes. All of these splices are going to effects channel A. Now say I want it to have reverb on just the snare. So now this is the snare. We're going to take this, or after it's highlighted, so you see I can scroll through them, we're going to highlight the snare, goes to B. Now B is on the reverb, but nothing else is on the reverb. So the entire break is dry, except for this one thing. So hopefully that answers your question, Wingfelt.io. And you can do different stuff with that, you know what I mean? You can have sends that go from A to B. So maybe all of the samples get just a little bit of reverb, and that one gets a lot, you know. You could play around with it. There's a ton you can do with the effects and the different routing, parallel processing, things like that. This is huge. I use this all the time. I don't put effects in the tracks themselves. I only put them within the instruments. Massive. Anyway, so back to this. Maybe I won't use this. I don't know, we'll see. Question number 2. So I'm just gonna label this here. BMO 50. Question number 2 comes from YouTube. Zarin was asking about how I organize my hydras. So over here, you see this track is already, I've already got some shit down for this one. The way I organize it has no distinct meaning other than how I make sense of it. So if it doesn't make sense, it's not you. It's just, I do this in all my tracks because it makes me, it's a quick way I can throw it into any track. I find that, so you see I have 3, 4, 5. 3 will go up and basically just like a sawtooth pattern on the entire track. See, I zoomed out, that's the entire track. Every 2 blocks, this hydra goes from 0 to 100. I have a 3 hydra on most of my tracks. A 4 hydra goes from 0 to 100 in 4 blocks. And a 5 hydra goes to 0 to 108 blocks. It's just divisions. So when I'm putting something in, if I want something just to change over that period of time, I have a quick modulation source. I don't have to create a new modulation source. And I think that it creates synergy within the track when you have the same modulation source, modulating different things instead of just, having a different modulation source for everything. I think it makes things a bit hectic. So those, I use the 3, 4, 5 for just like distinct sawtooth patterns. You see it just goes straight up, 0 to 100 sawtooth. 10 is what I use. So when I start using patterns that aren't distinct in a distinct sawtooth, I start labeling them at 10. So this is the first one I did. It's just a ramp that goes up 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 blocks and drops in 2 blocks. It's just a pattern for modulation source. I only have one thing on it right now, but later in the track, when I add this new section, I'm going to use, you'll see, I'll just have these modulation sources ready to change the aspects that I throw in. And then 11 was the other modulation source I added, which I haven't even used yet. I just made it. Sometimes I draw the patterns in before I even use them in for anything, because I feel like the pattern exists in the track, but I don't even have anything for it yet. And then 20 is just what I use for like one-offs, like I wanted this. That's not what I used it for. What did I use it for? 20 goes to voice 30. So this one, I just wanted to have this one fade in. But the fade in only happens here. 20 only happens here. It doesn't happen anywhere else in the track. You see all the rest of these are happen continuously for the duration of the track, but 20 just is like a one-off. Anyway, so 3, 4, and 5 are distinct sawtooth patterns. 10, anything the 10s are like custom patterns for the track, and 20s are one-off. To answer your question, Zerlin, or Zarin, I'm sorry, I closed out the YouTube window, Zarin, I think. And then, Wingfelt IO also asked me about the pitch modulation source I'll be using next one. I'm going to talk a little more about the pitch modulation here. Okay. I'm just going to add something here, and we're going to modulate with the pitch to show you a little more how the pitch modulation works. So I have this Hoover-like bass, and I have this 4-bar section. I know I want to modulate in the 4-bar section. Well, I already have this 4 that modulates from 0 to 100 on the 4-bar section. So all I have to do is I'm going to take a macro, throw it on the pitch. I'm not sure what exactly Wingfelt was asking me a bit about how more about how the pitch macro works. I don't know what specific specific questions I had, but maybe this will answer more. So here I have the 4 Hydra ready to go. I'm gonna come over to base 50 macro. But I want to start high, so I know that in my time domain, this is gonna go from 0 to 100. So since I want to start high, I'm gonna go to the minimum, and I'm gonna drag it up to be a higher value, because this value here, I have the macro map to the pitch, and that pitch, basically, that's what this slider is. This green slider, these numerical values represent where this slider is going to be in my time domain. So the minimum represents the beginning of the time domain, and then the maximum represents the end of the time domain. So if I want to go from high to low, my minimum is going to be high, and my end is going to be low. So what I like to do is I'll loop the beginning of it, and I'll loop the end of it to get the pitches just right, so I know like so I can you know, get my pitch domain right. So the pitch range, I'm gonna move it up here because I want my pitch range to be wider. I'm moving this number up. I want my pitch slot, the range of where this pitch goes to be larger than an octave, so I'm gonna make it larger than an octave. Then I'm gonna tweak it in here. I'm just using this the looper up here. You can enable this and it will loop it within the pattern. You can change the value to be half, third, fourth, different divisions. It's pretty useful if you want to just, you know, zone in on a certain you know, time frame. Just have it repeat. So back over here, the base 50. I'm gonna name my instrument the same as what I'm naming the track to keep things organized. And what I'm going to do here is, so I know that this, look, it's labeled right here, it's an E. I made that base, so now I have my, I'm going to layer it with a sine wave for the sub. I like to use sine waves for subs, for obvious reasons. They're the best for sub bases, just physics, just how it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some buses here. So kind of like we did what we did for the amen break, where we have the different buses, and I can make the snare have a different audio bus than the rest of the parts of the break. We're going to use the same part of the instrument, but now we're going to use it for parallel processing on this bass sound. So so A is what I'm going to use as my sub bass essentially. So right now we're only listening to the sub bass, and I'm actually going to change this because a lot of times when I'm making the bass sound, I start with the sub because the sub is the hardest thing to get right, in my opinion. If the sub hits, everything else will follow, in my opinion. So I'm going to come down here. I'm enabling auto seek on these basses. That one's already got it, so I like that for the low end. I don't know if you aren't listening on a good pair of headphones, you might not be able to hear that, but we can certainly see it up here. You know, look at that, you know, maybe 60 to 30 hertz is where a majority of it's happening. I'm gonna actually, you know, we're gonna throw a low pass on here. I'm actually gonna redefine the high limit of my bass because I don't want my bass to be up here. It's too high. It's too high. Bring it down. Yeah. Oh man, my laptop fan is just so fucking loud. I'm gonna compress this, and I'm gonna throw a little on it. Let's listen to it in its full glory. some slope to this, so the scaling option. So here's my base. Here's how the pitch is affected in the time domain. It starts here, it goes down here. Now the scaling will affect how it travels there. This will speed up, so this it'll remain higher for a longer amount of time, and then it'll drop off suddenly at the end. If we do this, it'll drop faster. I'm sorry, I had that backwards, but basically you can see the visible representation here. Yeah, so my bad. See, it holds the top end and it drops at the end, or we can just drops immediately. So I kind of like it where it actually held the top node a bit. I wish the scaling was numerical, but this is a limitation of Renoise. Or just have a fucking linear path. Definitely like it. I do think scaling adds some character. Linear generally sounds boring, but I know that if I scale it in this direction, it'll be more lower. It'll be in the low end for more amount of time, which is kind of what I prefer. I'll occupy that low space a little more. So now I can, with the parallel processing, I'm going to bring in what's going to be the mid-range of the bass. Or actually, yeah. So this is C, this is E, so I'm going to drop this 4 semitones so they're the same note. Yeah, listen to that, nice fat fucking Hoover on there. Ooh, it's a good one. Okay. It sounds so good because it has the sub bass. Look how thin that fucking sounds. Gotta have that fucking sub bass. People, you know, you want your shit to sound good on a system. If it doesn't have sub bass, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Pointless. You know, no point in fucking playing on a fucking system if you know sub bass. Yeah. So here I have my buses. You see I took that Hoover sample and I duplicated it and I split into mono tracks. This is how we're gonna get that fucking pan effect. You probably seen me do this in another video, I'm just doing it again. Cause I'm doing it for this bass. Just gonna tweak the fucking buses here. I don't know how much this needs to be changed, because I do like the sound as it is. This sounds alright. Yep. Yep. I'm just doing what I think sounds good. I don't give a fuck about anything else. Yeah, sounds alright. Let's hear what it sounds like with everything else. Yeah, it's kind of a cool thing, huh? It's kind of cool, yeah. break this time a little fucking lame though. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I didn't think there was any other questions online really. Someone asked me about hotkeys. I have a couple hotkeys. I can upload my hotkey. It's just like a text file you drop in a Renoise. One of them I have is if I press the Alt key and then ASDF, it transfers between where the focus is. You see, if I do A, it brings me over here. If I press AS, it comes here. D, here. This is really handy because certain things, like if I'm over here and then I want to rename the instrument, I don't have to move my mouse. My finger's on my keyboard right now. I'm gonna do Alt F. Now I'm in the instrument editor or the instrument panel. And so and then now when I'm in the instrument editor, I press A and F, and that cycles through the instruments. Like, I'm not touching my mouse for that at all right now. And then if I want to rename something, I can just do, you know, Control R if I want to rename, you know, that to something. Because things respond differently depending on which area you're focused on. Like right now I'm focused on in the pattern editor. So when I use the arrow keys, it's kind of like, you know, you're kind of searching down between the pattern editor. But when my focus is in the instrument panel, the arrow keys use it to surf through the instruments. So depending on where the focus is, now normally you would click with your mouse to do it, but you can hotkey it to where the focus is and that. You know, sometimes you have to use the mouse, but you can work faster if you can reduce the amount of time that your hand goes between the mouse and the keyboard. My friend Jillian Expletive told me that a long time ago. I kind of stuck with it. Shout out to Jillian. I'm trying to think what other hotkeys I have, but those are the two big ones I have. Just that it can cycle through here, then the A and the F key will go through here. I'll upload my, I'll attach my key bindings as a file, so you can get the key binding file. I'll drop it in the description. Where can I get my fucking finger? In the description of the video, there'll be a link to the drive. It's an XML file, I believe. That's the key binding for the Renoise shit. And then you just have the same key bindings as me. You know, I have some other ones. I can't remember what they are because I'm so used to it. But if they come up, I'll mention them. So I'm just gonna keep filling this out and talking about shit. I'm just gonna copy this, put it here. I'm gonna add like another base element here that's different. And I'm just kind of thinking, I'm always thinking a couple steps ahead. I'm gonna add a base element here that's different. And this is cool, but I'm gonna add a kick drum with this. And we're gonna use side chaining. Because this is cool, but it doesn't... It needs like a more rhythmic sub element than just like a Hoover, a big ass Hoover. Nothing wrong with a big ass Hoover, but it needs I think if you play that on the floor, it wouldn't create enough movement, you know. You need like a nice sub kick to kind of bring it in there. But first, I feel like adding something here. So I'm gonna add a kick drum. So I'm gonna go to my good old kick drum folder. I really like this kick drum. I call it a K rule. After K rule. Yeah, you know, just a little fucking... Yeah, I like about Renoise is that the keys cover 2 octaves, so Z is the first C of the octave, and Q is the C5. So if you want to add it, it's really easy just to add something that's an octave up. So the keyboard that's in Renoise is like hard programmed into software, and you can't replace the key bindings with that. It's kind of interesting. but it's like a limitation of the key bindings. You can't reprogram every key in Renoise. It won't let you. Dun, 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 dun. Another useful instrument is you can go on the Renoise. The Renoise website has people make tools for Renoise, like add-ons and shit. There's one called Place Notes Evenly. Just go to the Renoise. It's on the Renoise website. It's a Renoise tool browser. And people write programs for Renoise that you can download, and one of them is called the Place Notes Evenly tool. This one's big because, see, I want to add a triplet right here. And because Renoise deals with numerical values that are kind of like hexadecimal is kind of like in divisions of 4. So making things in divisions of 3 triplets is essentially changing the grid to be in divisions of 3 instead of divisions of 4. But because that division doesn't technically like exist in just a numerical value. See, when I did the place notes evenly, it automatically calculated. So I'm doing Control Z and Control Y just to show you what that clip did, what that action did. And it took these 3 notes in that time domain. Like, I'm highlighting it for the time domain. There's 3 notes in what I highlighted. Selection, place notes evenly. So it's placing 3 notes like in the time domain. It's like taking the time domain and it's like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to put my hands right on the camera. It's taking like our time domain, there's 3 notes within the time domain, and it's like evenly distributing them, which is essentially, in this case, it's triplets, but because our grid is in hexadecimal, there's no technical triplet placement, so it's using the delay column. This is the delay column. If you don't know it, you should. And it's using delay values to create an even spacing between the 3, and the place notes evenly is nice because it doesn't automatically, you don't have to. I already know what the values are because I'm a geek if I had to, but if you don't, it's an easy way to add triplets if you're not keen to hexadecimal and hexadecimal divisions and shit like that. I'll like put a link in the fucking description or some shit, you know. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool enough. Cool enough to make some shit with it. Now I'm gonna put a note off at the end, and something that's interesting. This is like a geek tip. So like, if we put the note off on the final step in the pattern, this will end the note at this step. So technically this bass will not play for the last millisecond of the track. It's hard to hear, but it is true. There's a better way to do it here. To better show you, I'm gonna quickly create an instrument here with a sawtooth wave. Check this out. So if I'm just looping this one part, I mean the waveform is looping, but see, if I put a place note evenly, or if I put a note off at the end there, it ends before it loops because technically the note is ending here. It ends right at the beginning of this. It doesn't end the note at the end of the step, it ends at the beginning of the step. So if we put a delay note on the note off, the note won't end. Here, I'm just going to play it a couple times. if we put a delay note on the note off, then the note will end after the note off instead of at the note off. So hopefully you understood that. I don't fucking know if you did or not. So in this case, because I want the bass kick drum to exist for the entire pattern and not miss out that last little bit, I'm gonna put a FF delay on the note. FF is the largest value of the delay can be, because it's the largest 2-column hexadecimal value. Yeah. So now I'm just gonna, I'm gonna come over to my kick drum. I'm gonna go back to our friend, the effect pattern. Yeah, some of this shit you just can't do with just the keyboard. Like right now, you gotta use the mouse. There's ways you can like keybind a lot of stuff in Renoise. There's ways that you can use key bindings to do like a lot of stuff, but I think I just accepted that I have to use a bit of some mouse work. Motherfucker. Okay, so I'm gonna duplicate this kick drum. Just do some parallel processing right here. E. I'm just gonna do some parallel processing right here. Add each one of these to its own bus. So now each one of these, so all these are happening at the same time. Like when we trigger the instrument, all these samples are happening at the same time. They're all having the same modulation bus, but they're all having different audio buses. And I'm only in it. And I can just turn all of them on and off as I please. So the first one I'm going to use as the sub bass. Sub bass is going to be in mono. So I'm going to take. Actually, maybe I should have. I'm going to see if it sounds better if I loop part of it. Let's see. I'm going to loop this little sine wave here. I'm kind of fucking with that. So I'm going to go and delete these. I'm going to use this. Reroute them to their proper buses. And so what I did here is now I have, so I'm going to change this to mono. I'm going to use the right hand channel because this is where the sine wave is, and I want to use that for the sub bass. So that's a mono version. It's the right channel of the kick drum sample. I'm going to try and make this as low as I can and have it, it needs to be in that low territory. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, if you're listening on your phone without headphones, you probably can't hear what I'm doing. It's okay. And still, the loudest thing you can hear is my fucking computer fan. The problem is the way I have it set up, the mic is just on, the fan is just on that side of the computer. That's where the fucking mic is. I'll change in the future. Sounds good to me. The classic Kevo compression on the sub bass. I'm the only producer who compresses the sub bass, I swear. It's only me. trying to get this little spike, but it's distorting a little bit. Normally I'd be doing this without a fucking fan blowing in my ear. But it's just a tutorial. So now I'm gonna take this kick drum instrument and I'm gonna make mono tracks out of them and hard pan them. Yeah, to get that stereo. Going on there, so I'm going to try to reduce that a bit. It might just be like the sub bass, so it's kind of a lot. See, when I hit this, just a sub bass, I can't really hear anything in terms of clipping. When I add this, there's interference between the two sounds, which I'm going to get rid of. Can't be helped though. Some people might be asking me if I'm high passing the bass, but I'm really just getting rid of that low end on my, because these B and C buses are meant for the be like the mid-low range, where the sub takes the extra low end shit. So I'm high passing these to keep them out of the sub. Anyway, I'm just gonna. Pretty cool. Alright, well, that's all I feel like doing right now. So, hopefully this answered some questions for people, and also, can I look at the camera? Hopefully this answered some questions for people, and, maybe I'll finish the track before Saturday. Anybody in Boston, come to the Cantab Lounge. It's 21 and up. Come see me in 99 Jakes and Union Jacks 99 Worldwide.